I'm going to recap my day trade for today, and probably my trade for yesterday I'll show you because it affected kind of how I traded today, although I had a very good trade in KAR. But first I wanted to show IQ because this stock, it showed up in my gappers early in the day, or actually in the pre-market, and you can see why that is. It gapped up today, and it had a couple of down days, and then it gapped up today because of earnings. So earnings was driving it up, and I was watching it in the pre-market. So I'll go to my 1 minute chart. When I look at stocks in the pre-market, I will look at the 1 minute. That's usually the only time I do it is in the pre-market and the first like half hour. So early on it had a lot of volume and it was moving, but it didn't have great pattern. So I wanted to see how it behaved at the open. And I had the trade entered in and I just didn't execute it. But you can see in the first minute of trading, it had a very big push up from 1868 to about 1927. I almost said, all right, I'm just going to get in and just hope for, I shouldn't say hope, you should never hope when you're day trading, but and just look for it to continue moving up because it had gapped up already on earnings. And when you look at that moving average, or when you look at that daily chart, the 200 moving average is right above it. A lot of times stocks that gap up that are strong are going to kind of get pulled towards that 200 moving average. And then, as you can see, it kind of hit its head there a little bit, went through it, but then came back down, retreated. So I was looking at the 1 minute chart and I said, maybe I'll get in here. I just couldn't do it. I'm not good at trading the first 15 to 30 minutes. It's not, so I'd like to get better at it, but it's tough for me. It's just, I'm not comfortable with it. Things move too fast. Like for this right here, 1925, I would have to set my stop all the way down to about below 19. So it would be a 20 something cent plus stop, which is fine. You can reduce your share size, but that's just it's too much of a gamble for me. And you can see it did pull back in the next minute all the way down to 1906. So it did go down 20 cents from 1926. And I don't know, that might have stopped me out. I'm not sure what I would have done once I got in, and if I would have put my stop way down low or what. But you can see from 1927 it went all the way up to about $20.50, which is over $1. So kind of kicking myself that I didn't do it, but I'm just not comfortable with it. So the next time I try to do this, if I end up getting in and I end up getting stopped out, I'll say, well, that's it's just not what I'm comfortable with. I shouldn't be doing it until I maybe paper trade a little bit more. That was the first 15 minutes of the market. So I couldn't get in it. It was unfortunate. This would have made my day. I mean, over $1. That's a great move. So I couldn't get into that one, but I did get into KAR, and that showed up in my no gap list. I'm not sure if it's still there anymore. It doesn't look like it's fitting the criteria for it. But it came up in this Trade Ideas scan that I have that looks for stocks that haven't really gapped more than, I think it's like 25 cents. So they're kind of close to the close of the previous trading day. So this one qualified, and I couldn't pull the trigger, but I'll show you how I traded. I was also looking at it on the 1 minute chart. So early in the day, it did have some pre-market activity, not a ton. You can see, I like looking at the 15 minute in the pre-market. Had a little bit of down at 9:15, not a lot of action, but 9:30 it kind of got to that the 10 EMA on the 15 minute chart. So going back to the 1 minute chart, so once the open happened, it was holding VWAP. It was kind of dipped below VWAP, and I like this little cup, and I guess they call it a cup and handle. I'm not sure if this qualifies, but on the 1 minute chart it had this nice little dip and then came back up and broke the high of the morning. So I waited for it to kind of move up a little more, and then I got in at 21.27. I think that's what I got in at. Yeah, 21.27. Kind of went back to 8 EMA, held it. Once it got up to about 21.38, I took some out. I partialed out at 21.38, and then you can see how it retreated back to the 8 EMA and held it, and then bounced up again, and then I took some more out at 21.49. So I was in at 21.27, took some out at 21.38, partialed some more out at 21.49, and then it kind of moved sideways just a little bit, but held it. It held these moving averages, the 20 SMA and the 8 EMA, and then once it got up to my 2R, my 2 return to risk ratio target at 21.55, I got out all the rest of my shares there. Now, when you look at this on the ADMA, you can see it continued up a lot more after. I held on to some shares here, and this little sideways action kind of made me reconsider what I was going to do. I wanted to hold on to shares that the remaining, I think I had like 20% of my original shares left. I was thinking of holding them until it got up to maybe my 4 or 5R. But then once it hit this little area after moving sideways, I got nervous. I also was affected by how I traded the previous day, which you should never let you should never let yourself do, because each trade you should manage in and of itself and not let any other of those outside factors affect you. And I did. So still was a winning trade. I made money. I got out partialed a little bit at a time here, but you can see this huge move that I continued to make afterwards, that if I had just held on, maybe just put my stop, I did keep moving my stop up after I got partialed out here. I moved my stop up to break even, and then I moved up a little further to below the bottom of this candle when I partialed out here, and then I moved sideways here, and I think I kind of moved it a little bit more up because I was getting a little nervous, but I could have just left my remaining share stop right here and watched how it behaved near this moving average, and then I could have just gotten out anywhere up in this area, but I let it affect me. So let me show you the trade I made yesterday that really affected me. You can see it gapped down yesterday a lot. It might have been earnings. I'm not sure exactly. Let me see. Was it earnings? So yeah, it was earnings. It gapped down on earnings. I got in here. I like these shorts when the stock is moving. It's gapped down and the 8 EMA and the 20 SMA start to catch up, and it uses that as resistance. Unfortunately, as you can see, I'll zoom in here, it spiked up right after I got out. It still held these moving averages for the most part, didn't close above them, other than this one candle that stopped me out, and then you could see what happened. It continued sideways and then eventually made its move down, which would have been well into my target area, because I got in at like just below 20, and I was looking for it to get down to about 1950, and you can see it did. It got down to about 1960 here, came back up, and then got down to about 1930. So this was a killer because it was a winning trade that I could have had, but I played it. I put my stop too tight, which is a problem. When you set your stop too tight, this can happen. And you can see it, just that little spike up. It didn't even close there at that high part. It just spiked up and got me out, and did it again here. But I was already out. So that affected me because I really thought I put more shares into this trade because I thought that this would be a really good short, and I just kind of managed it wrong and not allowing my stop to kind of breathe a little bit, putting it a little further away. And also, I kind of got in right here before it really tested these moving averages. You can see it's kind of testing it here. I should have waited until it kind of made this move down here. Again, maybe I would have gotten stopped out here anyway, but it just wasn't a clean move, as clean a move as it could have been for a earnings gapper. So that kind of hurt me. So yeah, that really affected the way I traded CAR today, because I just got nervous and I wanted to take out as soon as I hit my first profit target. But you can see now this is all the way up close to my 5R, I think, right now. So unfortunate that I kind of got out all of my shares when I did, but still a winning trade. So that's it. It's noon, and I'm probably going to, if anything, I might just paper trade, just test some new trading strategies. But I'm probably not going to do any more trading today, real trading, unless something just looks absolutely perfect. So we'll be back tomorrow on Friday for more trades. Good luck to everybody out there trading.